Alrighty, so we have ourselves another analysis. It is 11:52 at night, almost midnight, but because I am a nice guy, I'm going to put this analysis out there tonight for any and all those who are watching. Alright, let's get to it. Alrighty, so my opponent here, she knows who she is. So she started off with d4, book move, queen's pawn. I responded with d5. She responded with e4. Now I don't know what opening this is off the top of my head, but it is an opening. Like, there are a lot of moves nowadays that if you play them and look at it later, you find out that you played an opening that you didn't know. There are a lot of different openings just been studied for many, many, many years. So I responded with e5, challenging this opening. Here is, knight to f3 says, was a inaccuracy, and that d versus e5 was better. And let's kind of get into that. So taking d versus e5, it gives you double pawns. Let's see, so I can bring my knight out to protect that, which I can. Then your knight could attack my pawn going towards the center, but I can move my pawn up to attack your knight. Your knight is forced to move, but still attacking that knight, attacking that pawn. So you have two defenders on that pawn when I just have the one, my queen. I bring my knight over, because now that I can, if I can get some type of attack on that pawn, that extra pawn, one of those double pawns, why not? Because they aren't protected by anything. And that's as far as that goes. So, going back to what was originally played. So, we go with, actually, let's do the south. Alright, oh, okay, wait a minute. Okay, we'll just bring it up to speed. Okay, so going back to what originally was played. So you brought your knight out, and for me, my next move was to take that pawn right there. Why? So I can attack your knight that you just brought out. You, of course, attack my pawn, which was a good move. Which was the move you should have did. I brought my queen out, which I just replay this game, the more I see that I definitely brought my queen out way too early, and I was trying to recover for the longest. But that's what I get for bringing my queen out way too early. So, because this situation was where my queen out, I was looking, okay, like I was using the little analyze feature, and I was trying to figure out, like, okay, what can I do here? I'm going through different scenarios, playing, maybe I can do that, or I'm just playing through different scenarios in my head of what I could have did, and the more I play with this, the more I was like, why did I bring my queen out so early? But we'll get into that. So I brought my queen out, you brought your knight out, attacking my pawn. Good job. I decided to bring my bishop out because... Why did I decide to bring my bishop out? You know what? In all honesty, right now, I can't really think of why I decided to bring my bishop out. I don't really know why I decided to bring my bishop out. Yeah, I don't really know why I decided to bring my bishop. I mean, maybe because I want to bring this knight out next move so I can castle right there. Maybe. I'm thinking that's where we're going. You, of course, the smart thing. Your knight attack my pawn. So I can't just take your knight because it's protected. So the best move I can come up with here was to bring my queen back, which was like, okay, why did I waste the time to bring it out just to bring it back? But I digress. So you moved your knight to c5 to add some pressure to my bishop. I swooped in and took your knight with my bishop. Your pawn took my bishop. My queen took your queen, and the reason I did that is because I want to stop you from castling. because your king is forced to take my queen right now. That's the only way you're gonna get out of check. So, and because right now, this is attacking your king. You can't go there or there because you're still in check. So you are forced to take my queen, which you did. From there, I decided, okay, well, now I'm going to bring my knight out. I'm adding some pressure to your knight. I'm also adding some pressure to this pawn. So, and surprisingly, I'm surprised you didn't take this bad boy and just take my knight. I mean, of course, I could have taken back with my bishop. But, you know, it would have been an even exchange. So, but see, if your knight would have taken my knight, I would have had to take your knight in order for me to castle either way. Because with your knight here, where my knight is, your knight is blocking this square and this square. So though I can't castle because this knight is here, I wanted to castle right here, but I can't because I will be castling through check, which I'm not allowed to do. So, but you decided to protect the knight, which is fine, which is all good. I decided, well, hey, let me castle. Why? Because next move, I'm going to move this anywhere, maybe here or here, more likely there, because, you know, a knight is worth more than his pawn is, so why not take the knight? And then I'll also have a discovered check, because this rook will be going down this open file. So that's why I decided to castle first. You moved your pawn up, which, well, you know, I was kind of surprised by, but there's the discovered check there. My rook is attacking your king. Not only that, so we have my rook attacking your king, and now my knight is here taking your knight, and it's also attacking this pawn right here. And I'm gonna take this pawn that you moved up, so I'm gonna get your knight and your pawn essentially for free. Oh, because I set this discover check up pretty nicely. So you burnt your bishop out, which was good because well, I forget you can't castle. I forget which side of the board I was looking at, but it's fine. Well, actually, I guess I see why you did that. Like you're in check here, and I guess getting the bishop there protects you from being, you know, you're not in check anymore. Let's see, what else could you done? Well, I guess it doesn't really matter, because with you moving, I have to take note that, hey, my knight is in danger, and let me move it anywhere else, so it's not in danger anymore. So, you did that. I decided to take that pawn. You moved your king over there. Now, the problem with doing this, of course, going this way, is you're moving closer and closer towards your rook. And your rook has very little space as it is to move through. So that's the only issue there. Okay. So, what we got next? Alright, so I decided, well, hey, I'm going to bring my knight out because I eventually want to have my rook stacked in the middle. I want this rook right here, right there. Why? That way both my rooks can control those center files. They're open files, and rooks thrive on open files. So you got your, you moved your bishop there. I guess, you know, attacking this pawn in the corner, which, so you have bishops going there, and that's there. So those two bishops, and there's where they are right now is very powerful because both your two bishops are aimed at my queen side, which is where I am. So once you play chess more, you kind of see the pieces kind of tell you which way to attack your opponent. So, and that's one of the ways you, you know, you set that up. Both your bishops are pointing in this direction. Now, granted, you can't do too much right now. Like this bishop right here cannot really do anything to this pawn just because this knight is there. But once you get that knight off that file, then this pawn, you know, this pawn is as good as gone. So let's keep seeing how things progress. So that was good. Okay, great. So I got my rook towards center because you know, I want to do that. You got both your bishops there. Okay. So again, and you know, just to kind of point out, your bishops are controlling, you know, a lot of ground right there, as you can see. Now, if this pawn wasn't here, and we can pretend like it's not, then that's how much ground your bishops are controlling, just in a position they are. So imagine if they were like right here. They would practically be controlling half the board right now. So, I brought my bishop out there because, of course, I wanted to get the bishop from in front of my rook, so my rook can add some pressure to your bishop and potentially take it. You decide to stack the bishops. Okay. So I decided to bring my knight that way. What was my plan there? I guess I didn't really have a plan there, well, no, actually I did kind of have a plan. Yeah, I would say my plan here was to get this knight here, checking your king, and then, you know, if your bishop takes, well, my bishop just takes you right back. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's a great plan, because of course with every plan you want to try to attack two pieces at once, so you always get something out of it. In this case, I'm almost giving up a piece. I mean, let's see, how should I put this? So right now I have one more piece than you do. We both have 6 pawns. Both have both our rooks, and of course our kings. But you have 2 bishops, and I have 2 knights and a bishop. So I guess me giving up that piece is not really doing too much. So you move into the corner. Okay, then I decide, okay, well, my knight is here protecting this bishop. Let me try to attack that bishop some more. You didn't take my bait because, you know, you're getting good at chess. I decided to take your bishop. Now, I had a bigger plan, which I don't remember at the moment, but I'm sure it'll come into play. I was surprised you left your bishop there, but I was actually kind of glad you did. So your pawn took my bishop. So now it's like, okay, well, now I can get this rook in here. I can add some pressure to this bishop. And this pawn, you know, add pressure to this bishop and also this pawn right there. So you attack my knight. You attack my knight, which in some ways, so essentially this knight is pinned here, because if I move it anywhere, you can take this knight. Now, in reality, you want to play a move like this wherein there's like no protection, because then it's like, you know, you get a free piece. So, but the tactic is still there, which is good. You know, it's good to, if the attack seems worth it, or, you know, just setting up your pieces a certain way seems worth it, you definitely want to do it. And I'll record a few puzzles of like advanced, like a lot advanced puzzles, like puzzles higher than my rating, and you'll kind of see what I mean when I, you know, kind of say when the attack is there or a certain move is there, you want to play it. Yeah, we'll get to that. So I decided, okay, well, let me move this knight out the way to add some pressure to that rook, which, again, everything from here after I took your bishop is part of a plan. I don't remember that plan right now. I'm kind of reviewing it as, you know, we get through the video. And so I brought my knight over there to add some pressure there. You brought your rook there. I decided to take that pawn because I figured, if you were to use this rook to take this, that, geez, what was my plan here? I had a solid plan here. I want to say it was to move my knight there, that way I can attack this. Gosh, I had such an awesome plan earlier. I'll have to play through it and figure it out. But essentially, I wanted you to do what you did. You take. I moved my knight there to add pressure to that bishop. You moved your rook there. Oh, okay, that's it. Yeah, for my next move, I see it now. I wanted you to do that and me bring my knight in there. Initially, it's attacking this bishop, and if you didn't have any protection in there or you did, it really didn't matter because my next move was to fork your rook and king. Like that was my next move. That's what I wanted. So I figured, okay, I'm getting this rook somehow. So, you of course had to move out of check, which you did that, which is what you had to do. Let me see here. If you had gone there, no, it's good you didn't go there, because had you gone in that corner, that would have been a move, and then I would have got both your rooks in 2 moves. That, and I probably would have did something like that. And yeah, either way, that would have been bad. So you made the right move going there. So, but still, at the same time, it's like, okay, well, a rook's a rook. You can take my knight, I'll take your rook. So I took it, you took back. I took that pawn. You moved a pawn down. I moved my rook over that pawn because I eventually want to take that. And here's where things get out of hand for me, where I should have did a lot better, just because I had the material to do better and I didn't. But you took advantage of that, which you should have, and you did great. We'll get to the part where you could have had checkmate, because that's the part that I'm sure you're kind of kicking yourself about. And it's okay, because learning chess is a learning experience, but you've made a lot of progress. So you bring your rook there, probably aiming to put me in check next move. If it was a queen, I would have moved one of these pawns out, but because it's a rook, I didn't need to, so I just decided, okay, well, I'm going to keep going. I want to take that pawn. You, of course, put me in check. I move there. Let's see. So when it gets to a situation like, actually, let's go back. When it gets to a situation like this, it's always best, especially with the space right there. These 2 squares is always best for your king to move right there, just because it's closing in the amount of distance to your rook. So if it was a queen, I couldn't do that, and this would have been checkmate, just because the queen is not only putting me in check, but it also controls the square as well. So I literally have nowhere to go in here. So if there was a queen right here coming down, instead of that rook, you would have seen me move maybe this or this pawn up, just to protect myself from danger. So I did that. You, of course, did that. Now you're starting to attack my... I don't know what file that is, but you're attacking the side where my king is, which is, okay, attacking some sets of pawn is good, and you chose the better side, because 1, you have a pawn just trying to get across there, and 2, I don't really have adequate protection on this side of the board, right there. So you using your rook to start picking these pieces off was genius. Okay, so you picked 1. I wasn't quite worried. I should have been. You picked another. I was like, okay, well, let me do that. In retrospect, I wonder, should I just have done that instead? No, I know why I didn't do that. I didn't do this because I saw this bishop could go there, and if this bishop... Okay, so now let me move. Okay, it's not letting me do that, but your bishop here would have gone here. You would have a straight path to kill my rook. Kill one of my rooks. You definitely would have got one of my rooks there. And so that's why I was like, okay, let me not do that. So instead I did that. And the thing is, when you notice your opponent has a certain bishop, a bishop only controls 1 color. So when it kind of comes down to the end game, like what we're seeing now, it's best to keep if you have a strong piece like a rook, to keep it on the opposite color of that bishop as much as possible. That way you avoid any forks, any traps. So when it's a knight, it's a little bit different. You have, I guess you really want to make sure your rook is not in the vicinity of the knight, if possible. because the knight can jump around and quickly you'd be like, okay, no, the knight is far away, and then all of a sudden, excuse me, it forks your king and rook at the same time. You're wondering like, okay, how did this happen? So, and you decide to move your pawn down, which was smart. I should have done more to protect that. Like, okay, there is when I move my rook down, take that pawn. Really, what I should have did is done that. Maybe. Let me see what happens here. Because your pawn would have moved up. Then maybe I would have like sacrificed this or something. Then I could have taken that. And then essentially you will be stuck here. Like, these pieces have to protect each other, right? And as long as my king is here threatening to take your rook, it's also threatening to take this pawn. So you have my rook there, and you couldn't come across that line. So this pawn is about the only thing you can move up here, but even if your pawn get here, I wouldn't really care about it because your rook is more, I care more about your rook. You would have had to move your rook to, let's make this a little neater. You would have had to move your rook to this square. And even then, all I would do is come there. Oh, no, actually, I would come here. Actually, let's clear that up. You would have had to move your rook here, and I would have came there. And there, I would be attacking both pieces. So let's see if I can do that. You move your rook there, and then bam. And then, you could move your rook there. And then, at this point, I am at the mercy of you until, I'm not even worried about that there. I'm gonna, move a pawn or something up. Like, you can move that down, and then I'll do that, where you would probably do something like that. And then I'll just take your pawn. But I couldn't do that because I did not see that out. I didn't play that out in my head. And that was where I lost. That is where I should have lost the game, because at that point it was like, okay, you were definitely getting your queen. So I was too busy worrying about this pawn, which wasn't going anywhere, like absolutely nowhere. It was stuck. It was frozen in ice. It was cemented in concrete. It was just stuck there, and I'm sitting there worried about something I shouldn't be worried about. Like, they say you don't worry about stuff that's out of your control. Well, I was worrying about something that was clearly in my control, but I had no business worrying about. Ridiculous. So you got there, and that is where it was like, okay, crap. Your pawn has gotten too far. I was not paying enough attention to it. I was over here thinking like, okay, well, I got these two rooks, I'm good, yada, yada, yada. No. You played it smart by taking advantage of the weakness I clearly showed, which was not paying enough attention to that far pawn. I could have done something. Anything. And I didn't pay enough attention to it. And by the time I did pay attention to it, I should have lost. Like, doing that was, I waited way too long to do that. Right? Like, you could have did that, like you did, and which was a smart move. And at that point, it was like, okay, crap, she's gonna get the queen. Like, it's like, what do I do here? I can't do jack. I'm dead in the water. So you moved your pawn up one more. I'm just like, Lord have mercy, what am I gonna do? So I was like, okay, well, I guess it's not like exactly a race here, but I guess I'll move my pawn up. You got your queen, you put me in check. I'm just like, oh, Lord Jesus, here we go. It's coming. Okay, so here is where we are, where it's just like, okay, how do you put me in checkmate? How do you put me in checkmate here? Okay, so first things first. So when it comes to a checkmate like this, the king is semi in the open, but what you want to do is take away as many squares as you can. As many squares that I can move to. That's what you want to do first. Once you do that, once you take away squares I can move to, then you can focus on putting me in check. And as you're putting me in check, you want to slowly but surely take away more squares that I can move to until I'm stuck in a position where I'm being attacked and I can't do anything about that attack. And that is where I'm checkmated. So, how would I approach this? I would probably do maybe something like that. And the reason I would start maybe there is because this rook now cuts this off. So, that's one thing right there. That's cut off. So, because that's cut off, you're taking away 3 squares from me. So now I'm stuck with this. So now that's all I have to work with. So, since that's all I have to work with, I'm kind of like, okay, well, crap, I can't really do. Well, actually, okay, I'm sorry. I take that back. Don't do that. That was stupid. Because I can just take with your, my pawn. Okay, let's start over. Okay, what would I do here? Actually, let's see what you did first. You did that, which it wasn't doing too much. Like, did I move over there? I did move over there, right? Like, I guess I could have moved there, and then you would have had to move your... Well, you wouldn't have had to, actually. I mean... Let's see... what else we got? Oh, wait a minute. There's that. Okay, too much moving around. Too much moving around. Okay, so... let's see what we did. Did that. I did that. You put me in check. Of course, I moved towards your rook because, you're attacking me. I want to attack you back if I can. You moved your rook over. I wonder, is there something else you can do? Like here, you could have did that. Where I was, kind of stuck here. I was stuck, going to the right side of the board. I did that. Maybe one of those numbers. That. Well, actually, that's kind of risky going that way. It might have been better for me to actually go this way. That. Come back towards your rook. That right there is checkmate. So, so you put me in check. I went there. You moved over one. I decided, okay, well, I'm going to challenge your rook, because why not? I can take it right back with the pawn if you take it. You didn't take it. And then it's like, okay, well, crap, what am I going to do here? I'm trying to launch offensive here. But again, in my head, I'm knowing it is too late. Because now, if we look at the board that we have now, look at all the space. Look at all that space that you have to work with. You have so much space here to work with. Alright, so I moved my pawn up. So here's what... Okay, so in this situation right here, here's how to get a checkmate. So first things first, you need to put a stop. You need to create a barrier for me. You need to create a barrier for the king. The barrier essentially is putting maybe a piece right there. So now my piece is kind of stuck in the middle of these pieces. But not, essentially my piece is stuck in the middle, right? This queen is cutting off that row. This rook is cutting off that row, right? So it's important to have a piece right there to stop me from going the opposite way. Because if you look, there's, if I was able to get into this row, I would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows. Right here, I have these 3 rows, technically. The rook, of course, is here, but if, the rook was, say, right here or something, right there, then all I would have is these 3 rows right here, right? So that's the first thing. Keep me on one side of the board. The next thing, if this was the case, I'd probably go there. You would probably maybe jump right there. I would do what I can to launch it, try to do something, which, maybe that. But even then, that's not doing too much, right? So, move it there, and my king, it's like, it wants to get closer towards this rook right here. But of course, with your queen there, it's like, it's not a good idea to do so. So, then it's like, okay, if I were to move closer, I would move close, have to move back. So that's like, okay, well, now I put my rook there. Now, these two pieces don't work like these two pieces. These two pieces have to stagger. They cannot be stacked. These two pieces can stack. Why? Because the queen has the flexibility of moving along diagonals that the rook doesn't have. So, but essentially in this case, it's like, okay, my king is, my king can only go towards the bottom of the screen. Like I can go here, or I can go here. So going here might be risky just because, you put me in check. Where am I gonna go? Let's see. You might, well, first you might take my rook, just because, my rook is there for the taking at this point. And then you're also keeping me going down towards the bottom of the screen. And then from there, it's just like, okay, well, what can I do? Maybe I try to, I don't know, at this point, it's like, it's not much for me to do. So you go there, right? You go there to keep me away from your piece. So now it's just like, okay, well, even if I were to go this way, your rook is at least one square away, which means this coming down here is going to be checkmate. There's no other way around it. It's like, I'm too far away. I'm not close enough to get to your rook. So then, checkmate, right? Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back and try to sum that up a little bit quicker. Right. Okay, so you got me here. Get that. Came around. Okay, so initially you just brought your queen up one. And let's see what you did after that. I was able to get a queen after that. You moved your king, surprisingly. I'm surprised you moved your king because, well, let me try to break this down. All right. So even though I have a queen, it's your turn. So you could have moved this piece right here, put me in check. All right. Let's kind of play that out a little bit. You put me in check. Let's say I'm going this way. Check. There. Check. There. Check. Check. Okay, of course I'm gonna go there, but that's checkmate, right? So that whole little sequence, that was like a quick checkmate. Well, no, I shouldn't say quick mate. That's not what I'm trying to say. That was I don't want to say controlling checkmate. Well, how about this? You had the advantage. So even though I just got my queen, it was your turn to play. So this is one of those situations where, depending on whose turn it is, it looks scarier than it actually is, right? Like on my turn, I just got my queen. It's just like, oh no, I have all these pieces on here, and you just have these two pieces. And it's like, okay, well, technically I have an advantage here, but not really. The only reason I have an advantage, the only reason I would have an advantage is if it was my turn, where I would have did what I did, which was take another one of your pieces out, where I have more pieces than you did. However, like me having more pieces doesn't mean I'm gonna win the game. Not in all situations. At some situations, it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna win the game, but that's not always the case. So, again, same strategy. You want to keep me to one side of the board. So, king cannot go there. And now with this king in check, in this situation, this isn't what happened. This is, and it's, what I played out. Now the king is forced to go this way until it's, whatever. Until, you can make another move to stop it from going that way. Or until I can make another move to stop it from going that way. And so you got me over there. You could have got me over here. Bring the rook up. Now with me bringing the rook up, the king only, and if you're paying attention, you can see that the king only has like one square to go to. As many plays you can do where the king only has one square to go to is good because you're in control. And the reason I say you're in control, because it's like, if I only have one place to go, moves are essentially forced. So, but it comes with time. Like, the more you play chess and the more you see, like, if you can force my moves, you begin to, you will know the squares I can go to, and you'll be able to plan out ahead like a checkmate, because you're going to force me to the squares you want me to go to. You will be in control in all sense of the word. They usually call that perpetual check. And the reason it's called perpetual check is because the person doing the checking is like, these are the only moves that can be made. It's like, the person doing checking is making these moves, and the opponent is forced to respond this way because there's no other way to respond. It's, as many times as they're in check, there's no other way to respond. So in this case, I have one square to go to, which would have been there. All right. Then I come up there. Now again, I'm working with the concept of cutting off your squares. So you have this little box to work, or I have this little box to work with right now. Then I'm moving down. So now I have this many squares to work with. So slowly but surely, I'm getting, slowly but surely, you want to put the king in a corner or a hole, or just you want to isolate the king. That is your goal when you have all this space and you have these two pieces, to isolate the king. So I bring the rook down. So now the king, this row is gone. So the king has that. Like, that is it. That is what the king has. Right? Now I move there. Now, if this was a rook, that square is out of, I can't do anything with that square. I would have to go there, or, I'm sorry, that's a bad idea. I would have to go there. And then the king would, of course, move here. Then I bring this rook over here, where it's too far away from the king, and then I bring it down. I can show you that later. Jeez, this is a long video. Okay. But since this is a queen, we can do that as far as mate. Now again, that's not what happened, but when if I were in your shoes, this is how I would have played it. So, but again, that's that's part of that's being experienced. Like, the more experienced you are, the more you kind of recognize the pattern, or just recognize certain things, and your point of view of certain things looks different. That's so. Because in this case, moving your king should have been the last thing you should have done, just because I had a piece advantage and I was going to take advantage of that piece advantage. So that's why I decided to take your queen, because it's like, I have a piece advantage. I need to keep that piece advantage. That way I have a chance at winning. So it's like, I'm going to take your queen with my queen. You're going to take my queen with your rook. And now you're down to a rook and a bishop. I have two rooks and a pawn that might be able to become a queen. So right now I feel like I'm in control. So I move my rook all the way down there. You bring the pawn up, attempting to get another queen. Admirable, smart. I put you in check because it's like, I want to slow down your pawn movements as much as I can. The best way I can do that is by having you move another piece besides the pawn. So in this case, your king. And so you moved your king down one. I moved my pawn up one. You moved your rook up one, putting me in check. I moved it down, and I can tell you right now, my plan from here was to zigzag as close to that rook as possible. Of course, your rook would eventually move over here. However, it would have at least stopped you from putting me in check for at least a move eventually. Once we get down to that, if that's the case, if that's the way you were going. So you moved your bishop there. Smart, because now your bishop is attacking my rook. I decided, well, I'm going to attack your bishop right back. And I need to get my rook off a square, which you can attack it with your bishop. So you put me in check. Smart. Here, I see what you're doing. However, by doing that, you left that unguarded. Now, there's nothing wrong with this type of check if this rook is at least another square away. Preferably if it's like all the way across the board, and it's definitely gonna protect that the bishop. But the rook is just too close to have the effect that you wanted it to have. So I was able to take it, so I took it. You took my rook, or took my pawn, understandable. And I took right back, because why not? I'm getting more pieces off the board, and I want to, what is that? I want to get as many pieces off the board, but I also, well, I want to get as many pieces off the board, but I'm not taking them just to take them. I'm taking them because I want to leave you with less options. So, you decided to move your king up. I decided to move my king towards your king. And the reason I did that is because I saw, and maybe that's from me playing chess puzzles, but I saw that if you decided to move that king up, that me moving this rook over here was going to be checkmate. Because with me moving my king right here, I'm taking away these two squares. So, and then, well, really in this situation, that's all you had. Because this pawn is pinned by this rook right here. So you had no choice but to move that king up. Unless you decided to move the king there. So, but you move the king up. That way you can, have so your king wouldn't be pinned by the pawn. However, it didn't matter because the next move for me was checkmate. So, okay. So, I'm going to stop this video, send this to you, but I'm going to do a whole separate video on checkmates.